Welcome everyone to another episode of Flipped Off with that Flippin accountant, Mike Plachter. Today we got a really special guest. First time doing this in person. Usually we do them on Zoom, but today we're gonna do this in special guest. We got to do it right. So we got Kerri and John Passamenti. Before I get into that, I want to introduce Al. This is probably this guy you've never seen before.
Great guy, by the way.
Thank you.
Sit next to me. Best friend since first grade, and Al was last year he was in Iraq serving, and when he got back, I pitched him on real estate, and I think he got the bug now. He got the real estate bug. So, Al, welcome to the podcast. Welcome to the company.
Thanks for having me on here, and I'm happy that my first in-person meeting is with the Passamentis, my favorite people in the game. So Michael introduced them, and pay attention because they're the best.
Kerri and John Passamenti from Realty Connect. Thanks for coming on the podcast.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah,
Awesome.
It's a pleasure.
So how'd you guys get into real estate?
Good question.
You're in charge. You might as well answer.
Now I'm in charge. Today I'm in charge. So I bought my first condo in 2017. I had a career at that time. I was working in an automotive dealer, running 4 stores in a group in Smithtown. And I bought my first condo. I really liked real estate because through that purchase, I enjoyed getting help. I also realized after going through quite a few agents that there was, that's a nice way to put it, that there was a need for better agents. So my passion for wanting to help people and passion for real estate, because once I bought and finally closed on my condo, it was so empowering to me what a piece of property could do. Like, that was mine, no one could touch it. And knowing that I could build equity, it could one day become a rental property, which now it is. I wanted to be able to help people acquire that because anyone could become rich off of real estate. It doesn't discriminate, which I think is a beautiful thing. When you're in the corporate world, it's a lot different, but real estate is what you make of it. So long story short, I got my license. I didn't do anything actually until 2020. My first accepted offer was March of 2020.
Wow.
And
in the middle of COVID.
Yeah, so that didn't go through. Started back up June of 2020. And by September, I needed John's help because we were doing well enough, and I was still working full time at that point. I was working about 50 to 60 hours a week. So he was helping out with any kind of showings during the day.
I'll tell my part.
Oh, okay. I'll shut up now.
So I'm retired from the NYPD, and I had a couple of little jobs on the island.
Were you retired at the point that when she got into real estate, or were you still?
I was already retired.
You were already retired. Okay.
I retired in 2017, in August of 17. But we didn't know each other yet because the condo that she bought, I ended up buying a condo next door to her. Now, over the years, I've bought and sold several pieces of property. I feel the same way that she did, that the help wasn't always professional, wasn't always informative. I feel like they didn't have a policy or a process or a procedure. Half the agents were just winging it. Yeah. So when I met Kerri and she had her corporate job but also had her license, it sparked in me my dreams of being a realtor from years ago. So I then decided I'm going to do the same thing. And I was studying and I took the test, I passed, and then as she said, we started doing well enough where she needed me there. Instead of me, hey, I'm along for the ride, now she needed me to be there. Since then, it's been great.
So did you guys find it tough during COVID? Because you kind of started right at the beginning of that. I know some people during COVID actually helped a little bit, not obviously at the first, oh my God, the end of the world part, but towards the end when the city people started moving out to the island. Were you guys kind of advancing on that, or were you still kind of having a hard time?
So I think it was helpful that a lot of people were looking to buy.
Did you see a lot of city people calling you up?
A lot of city people. Yeah. That died off, but honestly, recently, it's happening again. We're seeing some more city people coming out.
Definitely.
At least we are seeing that.
Because it's crazy right now. I mean, I've noticed towns that normally, as Long Islander, especially if you work in the city or something, you never go out there really and live. Not knocking anybody that lives in those areas. It's just, you wouldn't go living out in the Massacs. You wouldn't go living out in the Riverheads or even further out or in that area. But now, if you can work remotely, those are beautiful areas to live. So you're kind of getting more and more people living out there, and it's
so I agree. Working remotely has helped a lot of people move further east from the city, where they would never want to travel. Now they're only traveling 1 day a week. And hey, for 1 or 2 days a week, I could definitely, suck it up and drive into the city.
Yeah.
So we are seeing that.
I know like a ton of accountants that are like, my firm's letting me work from remotely,
Yep.
and I used to live in like Westchester or Long Island, but I'm going to go to Pennsylvania. And
Right.
my cost of living it cuts in half, and literally making the same money, my firm will let me do it. So like everyone's doing that. It seems to be a play.
100%.
That's the thing that's crazy in real estate right now. Like, I feel like COVID, obviously, hopefully we never go through something like that, but like it changed the real estate game totally, to the fact that, again, places that were never getting touched, like nobody before wanted to go live in Alabama. Now Alabama's becoming kind of hot because it's down south, it's nice weather, and it's very affordable. Like, and you can work from home. It's crazy. Like, something as bad as COVID switched it and is making the real estate game totally different. And it's like, if you're in now, like, this is the way to do it.
Now, a ton of like baby boomers too. I feel like, I don't know if that was always the trend, but like particularly since COVID, they're all like, the only people selling houses right now are like those baby boomers who are like, I'm going to Florida.
Yep.
Like, I'm getting the hell out of here.
So there's a lot of that. We've seen, like, there are sellers that have left New York State. It's not, it always was, like you say, Florida. That was the easy one. Now it's Florida, Georgia, North and South Carolina, Tennessee, Texas, all those southern states. The weather is nice.
I think it's in Florida, no tax on their
tax.
retirement.
There's no tax.
Yeah. And no property tax in Texas. So it's like,
Yeah.
I'm going to be here and pay crazy prices. But
Right.
And like a lot of people, they're selling these houses to us, like, for like a low price, like in the 300, but they're buying new construction in
for
Florida
cash.
for like 350. So
Yeah.
it's like, all right, I'll just go live, I'll sell my broken down home in like wherever in Suffolk
get a
County.
palace.
And they're buying like a palace,
Yep.
like 2,500 square feet in wherever in Florida. And like, that's very common, is what I'm seeing. So.
the good thing is, though, is those, the boomer generation's kind of going down there. They're retiring. So you think like, oh man, who's going to replace the homes up here? But now that younger generation is filling in. So it's like, we're not left here with an empty thing where nobody wants to live here. It's always going to be popular. And so now there's always homes to sell. And then those homes that are selling are easy to fill in.
I
Right.
think too, the younger generation is now like 50 and younger.
Thank you for
Because
saying that.
You're
because
very
I'm 50.
welcome. See, I included you in something. Because you're seeing now people in their 40s change their life drastically, meaning like we just sold a house in Center Reach and that client came out, I think, from South Ozone Park. They were probably, I would say, in their late 30s, probably more early 40s, had kids, and they're like restarting their life in their 40s. And I think because people are living now longer, I also think besides people who are relocating, and we talk about this all the time, people are not leaving their houses. They don't go into assisted living because it's super expensive, or they're attached to their house, so they just unfortunately live in their house until they pass. And then you
That's
guys
very common.
get those
And then we
houses.
probably inherited
We've run into that problem a lot.
Yeah.
A lot of times I call up and the person's older and they're like, well, I kind of want to go into assisted living, but my daughter doesn't want me or
Right.
anything. And like,
Right.
you have to wait till they die pretty much.
Yeah,
Because they're not
exactly.
leaving.
They're
Right.
literally not leaving.
Like I have somebody down the street from me, like, oh, he looks like the crypt keeper. Like he's
Yeah.
about to go any day. You'd think his kids would want to put him somewhere else, but he's better off staying there,
Yeah.
and he might end up living for 10 more years. But you got to basically wait till they pass and hope those kids, when they inherit it, they want to just get rid of it. Or,
Yep.
A person's level of comfortability in their own home plays a role, obviously, in whether or not they want to leave. And some people just feel so comfortable, no matter what, even if the house is falling apart, even if the main like arteries of the house, the plumbing, the electric, and everything, if that starts to go, they're still comfortable there. That's what they've known for 30 years.
It also becomes like survival, because what we've seen in these houses, and you may have seen this, is especially if it's like a colonial, they just take over the first floor. The dining room becomes a bedroom now.
Yeah.
They get a full bath on the first floor, make sure there's like a walk-in shower. So like the house isn't for the layout that the house was. Now it's just like straight survival mode.
Yeah, you see that a lot. And
Acorn stair lift.
Yeah.
Right.
Always there.
And a lot of times people would ask us, when's the best time to buy or sell? And what sustains the market over time, especially now, is when there's a need. When you're ready to buy or sell, that's when you sell.
Yeah.
So the most people that are buying houses now, they're not really playing the market.
Yeah.
There's a need. They're done with New York, they're leaving. Their kids are off to college, they're downsizing. There's more kids coming into the family, they're pregnant, and they're having more children, they need a bigger place. Getting married and coming from the parents' house, that's really what is going on now,
Yeah.
especially.
I see a lot of investors though who are like they're newer investors and they try to like time the market. They think they could time the market. They're like, well, it's not a good time to buy right now. And like I literally could have been saying that since I bought my house in 2017, and I could have said the same thing. Like the market's a little hot. I bought it for $500,000. It's like not doubled, but it's a lot more. It's worth a lot more now. But like I could have said that then because they went from 4 to 5, and I'm like, well, that's a big jump. And new investors say the same thing. They're like, I don't want to get into real estate because the price is too high. It's like, listen. The rates drop, prices might go up. So you can't.
Well, that kind of brings the big question, what do you guys see the market? What do you think? You think the percentages are going to go down? Are they going to go up? Like I was kind of in the same situation when I was buying my house. The percentages were pretty high. They were in like the 6s, 5, 6s, and we said, oh, maybe we'll hold out. We'll hold out. Thank God we didn't because it got better. And also, people are obviously overpaying for homes right now too. So you get these bidding wars. So like, what do you guys see going on?
So I personally think that the housing prices aren't going to go astronomically higher
on Long Island.
On Long Island.
This is specifically
specifically Long Island
Right.
is a specific market until the interest rates go down a little bit more. Then the houses may go up. But it's so volatile lately that even if the interest rates go down, the house prices could jump tremendously, or they could stay the same. Like we still see increases year over year. Even when other parts of the country are struggling, like even some of those southern towns or southern states that we named, they're not
performing
as well as Long Island is.
Like Jacksonville,
right?
They're not doing well.
They're not doing as well, but we still are, and it's most likely because Long Island is one set. That's it.
Inventory.
You can't build anymore. This is what it is.
That's what I love about Long Island. It's like, you saw some places like Detroit, right? Everyone fled Detroit like 50 years ago, and it's very blighted. I was there last year. It's like still kind of run down, and I don't see anyone coming back into the neighborhood. So it's like, all right, you don't want to invest there. But like, I don't really see that here because you also have people from the city moving out, even though those boomers are going down south and moving to Florida or wherever. But like, there's people still filling those spots, and there's always demand. Even in like 2012 when the market was terrible, like, there was still demand. People
want to live here.
Yeah, it's a desirable place to live,
As much as people want to complain and say, oh, the prices are too high. Well, somebody's buying, somebody's paying, it's not going away.
They are. The other thing is this. We were just talking to a first-time home buyer yesterday. And it's funny because you brought up 2017 because what people who are just getting into real estate now don't realize, if you look at the trajectory way before 2020, it was going up.
It's going up.
It was going up. It was going up. So this was eventually going to happen. I think COVID aspirated it a little bit and made it go faster. But there's never a time you shouldn't get in the market, because when you look at what you're paying today versus what you're going to be paying, and more on like a monthly mortgage situation, people are paying, let's say, $5,000 probably on average now for a mortgage, which is substantial. It's a lot of money, and I understand. But those people who are doing it today are going to look back in 10 years when people are paying $7,500, and they're going to say, that's $2,500 I'm not paying. We're doing that on our condos. We're doing that on our house. And we're like, people are paying double, triple, and no one could ever take that payment away from us. It'll always be that low, and that's why you just have to get in.
We like to educate, especially first-time home buyers, in that getting into the market is more important than getting into it at a certain price. Oh, well, I have to have this percentage of my down payment, and I need to have this and that. If you keep waiting, you're going to still lose. Buy it. If you're not selling it within 5 years,
it's going to go
throughout
up.
The history of time, it's been proven that you're going to make money.
It's going to go up.
Well, look
even
at
if it goes down, right? I bought a house in 2008.
The numbers are blown away now.
I bought a house in 2008. By the time I got rid of it, it was worth $200,000 more.
Wow.
So it took a while. It didn't happen overnight, but real estate will come down and then it'll go back up. So if you're buying something and you're moving to Florida next year, don't buy anything. Continue to rent.
100%.
But if you're going to buy it and hold on to it, and your children are going to end up selling it in 30 years, or this is going to be a place you're living in for 20 years and then renting it out or selling it then, most likely you will be making a profit.
Yeah, like my sister-in-law is looking to buy too, and she's like, well, I might be in a couple of years moving somewhere else in my job. And I'm like, well, you probably shouldn't buy them because honestly, like if you're going to transact twice in 2 years, like
it's not going to make
lose
sense.
Money. So why lose money? You could rent, or if you could hold it for the rental, then buy it. But it's like, but you got to know where you're going to be living for the next 7+ years.
Right.
You got to know that now. And then once you figure that out,
Right.
then you make your decisions.
Yeah, this is our worst sales pitch. Like, don't buy the house.
We tell people all the time not to buy
People,
and sell.
their jaw drops
Yeah,
because we're
like
not saying, hey, sign this paper,
Yeah.
buy it, blah, blah,
Right.
blah. We say, look, if you're going to buy or if you're going to sell in 5 years because you're moving to Texas because that's where you want to be,
Yeah.
you probably shouldn't be buying right this minute.
Yeah, but that's honestly, you guys are good agents because you're telling the truth. You know.
Yeah, and that's kind of why I wanted to, you guys are here. For people that are watching this, like, why should we know why? We've already seen it and we're sold. Why should people go with the Passamentis as agents, than somebody that's a family friend or, whoever? Like, why would I want to use you guys as a real estate agent?
Thank you for saying all that. That's
Yes.
very
Thank
nice. Checks in the mail.
I got you.
Not
Thank
that
you.
much money, but it is money.
We don't make as much as people think. Yeah.
We like to pride ourselves on being genuine people and helping people. You can't fake being genuine. You can't fake honesty. People see that in us. Luckily, we've been told that a bunch of times, that people recognize that we're putting effort and things like that. We're so appreciative of the people that say that, our clients, our friends, everyone. When you help someone buy a home and it's their dream home or it's a step to their dream home or it's an investment property, it makes us feel good too.
Right.
And obviously, if we do a good job, they're going to recommend us to their friends and their friends' friends and everything like that. So on the one end, we're doing it because we love it. And then on the other end, we do it because it also helps us, in the business.
All right, so you got to have some crazy real estate stories for us that you can tell us about.
There's so many.
Things you can or can't mention on air. If you can't, don't worry about it. You can go to the next question.
So a lot of times we take two cars places. And this one time in particular, I'm not going to say the town, but I'm going to say we drove up to the place in two separate cars.
When you know, you know.
I could immediately tell this is a mistake. Okay, maybe it was my police background. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, you know.
But we walked into the house, and it was more of a house for you guys.
Yeah.
The place was upside down. There was pizza boxes and Chinese food containers and liquor bottles and
Bed in the living room.
a bed in the living room.
Yeah.
The place was an overall mess. The lady ended up telling us, like, oh, somebody got shot outside the other day. So now I'm clearing the house. I'm going room to room to make sure there's
no
nobody
one's in the
hiding.
closet.
Right.
Yeah.
And each room was worse. It was filthy and it was smelly and there were dogs there, but she had them outside while we were there. But it
By the way,
wasn't.
it was pouring and she had the dogs
Right.
outside. So
Which we
I
didn't
don't-
feel good for.
Yeah,
it.
Yeah,
right.
because we're dog lovers, obviously.
Yeah.
But
so.
God loved my wife, Kerri, who was
a
the
good
best
answer.
thing to ever happen to me.
Yeah.
Is the song on? Did you hear it? Okay, good. We sit down in the living room, which was kind of the kitchen, and
Kind of
I
dining room.
immediately notice that there's roaches all over the
Yeah.
wall.
Well, I think we came to that
Behind
realization,
it,
like
behind her.
all of a sudden you like
and now you're
zoomed in
sitting
you're
there,
like,
and there were
oh,
roaches
shit.
all over. Like they were like hiding, but now we move stuff,
Yeah.
and they're
all
scattering.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Kerri's still trying to sell the house. I'm like, we got to get out of here. This is not worth it. I don't care how much they're going to pay us. I don't care.
Yeah.
We got to get out of here. Kerri puts her bag down. She's setting
Well,
up
at that
shop.
point, also, we
man.
were like, in
Yeah.
for like, there was nothing really we could do.
She was trying to help the lady. The
Yeah.
lady was in a
Yeah.
bad way.
Position, yeah.
But it turns out she didn't actually want to sell the house.
No.
I think she
Got it.
just wanted a
get an
valuation
idea,
of the
yeah.
house
Right.
to maybe get some money, like
Whatever,
like
yeah.
from the bank, like to somebody value her house
Gotcha,
to see
okay.
how much she would have, in equity
Yeah.
in the home. Her intention wasn't to sell. But we didn't even get to do any type of sales pitch. I'm like hitting Kerri, like, we got to get out of here. The lady was also a little indignant about the way real estate should work. We sell hundreds of homes. You've sold zero.
Right,
Let me help you,
Well,
please.
you start to also
yeah.
realize when someone's complaining about every single thing in person around them, it can't
it's
be
not them.
every
Right.
single
Yeah.
person. It, can't be every
yeah.
neighbor.
Right.
It
It's
can't
not
be
the neighbor
everything.
behind you. It's not the neighbor in front of you. It's
like,
you.
it's you. Yeah,
Right,
you're the
right.
problem.
I say
So-
every finger you point, there's
Yeah.
more
Right.
pointing
Yeah.
back at you.
I like
Yeah.
to say there's always one jerk on the block, and if you don't know that jerk, it's you.
Yeah.
If you don't know who the jerk is, it's you. So long story longer, we finally get out of there. We get into the car. Kerri's in front of me. I'm behind her. And all of a sudden, I see her take off. Boom. I call her. I'm like, what's wrong? She's like, there's roaches in the car. Because the roaches went in her
your bag.
bag.
Oh, no.
And
That was
they were
very
all
bad.
over the car. I'm like
very
bombing the car now.
no.
Oh
Her
my
bag,
God.
everything. So that wasn't a great
No.
story. Especially if the
those are-
lady didn't really want to sell the house. That
Yeah.
was,
Yeah.
That's weird.
It wasn't worth it for anything.
That's the worst because we run into it sometimes too. Like I kind of, Mike's finance and like runs the whole business. I'm kind of the guy underneath, doing the groundwork. And a lot of times I get on the phone with the person, like I've gotten better at filling them out, but they're like, yeah, we want to sell, we'll negotiate a price. So I drive all the way out there to find out that yes, they're just asking, trying to find out how much their house is worth.
Right.
Or there's they really don't want to sell. They're like, the worst is when you get that, give me your best offer. Or like, we'll see. Yeah. That's when I'm like, all right, I'm not even going to come over to your house. But at the beginning, we were going like house to house, and some of them were nightmare houses. I'm like, man, I just wasted my day. Like, probably I have bed bugs now. Yeah.
We have to refine our whole sales process because we get a lot of that. Yeah. What's your offer? We're not. If you're just looking for an offer, we're not even going to try to pursue you as buying it, because honestly, you're just looking for someone to say something greater than the fair market value, because your home's worth. So we just say you have to check boxes now. If you're checking, we have a bunch of things. You need a reason to sell, of course, right? If you don't have a reason to sell, there's no reason for me to even talk about buying your home. So like Al will go through those sales process with them. If they check these boxes, then maybe it's a lead, and then if it's a lead, we'll try to put an offer in on it. But a lot of times you come across that, but it's like, well, what's your offer? And, if I said $1 million, you'd probably be like, all right, I'll sell it because it's worth 500.
Right.
But it's probably going to be less.
Everybody's an undercover salesperson, right? Yeah. They all feel like they could have this undercover salesperson persona. Everybody wants the same thing. They want to sell the $500,000 house for $1 million house, for $1 million, and they want to be able to buy the $1 million house for $500,000.
Yep,
exactly.
Us too.
Yeah.
Put me on that list because I want that also.
Yeah, 100%. That's a big thing too. Is everybody thinks that they're a salesman, and the worst is like, oh, my friend, he's a realtor who's sold one house in like 5 years. Told me this is how much I can get, and told me this is what I have to ask you, and all this stuff. And that guy telling that stuff is just nonsense, and you just totally screwed up every plan I had. So a lot of times I do find myself in these calls, like I have to build rapport with these people and kind of get them away from their friend. So I tell Mike, like, I'm basically a chameleon, right? Like one lady, I hope she's not watching this. Well, she won't because she doesn't believe in the internet. But she's a doomsday prepper. Had me on the phone more about doomsday prepping than we did about homes. She has a whole website on like a checklist of what you got to do. So, I jumped on ship and I was like, screw the man. Like, let's go off the grid and everything. But it works. You got to kind of get that because she had a real estate agent that she was listening to. But now that me and her have something in common and I built trust with her, now she's listening to me more. So it's kind of, you got to break them away from those people, those idiot agents or idiot friends or anything that just don't know what they're talking about.
So in general, right, somebody's going to believe their cousin, their father, their friend, their neighbor. And the person that's giving that advice isn't probably even trying to mislead their friend. But when you go to a professional and you see that they're a professional, I understand why there may be some hesitancy about a salesperson and, real estate agents and car salesmen, they're all the same and they're all trying to get it over. Yeah. But once you sit down with the person, you realize that that's not the case. And we have a process, we have a policy and procedure, we have a way to do things. You can tell that you should probably listen to the realtor more at this point than your cousin's brother's friend's sister who has never sold the house. And if they did sell the house, the last time was 1981.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's a huge difference, right?
That's why you guys, like, again, before when I was saying it, like, you're the best to go to because, again, you're very truthful. Like, that time we went and met you in your office, like, the presentation, that's like nobody else does that.
Thank you.
So if I was a first-time home buyer and I, maybe I had that friend that was an agent and I went to you, I'd be like, I'm sold on these people because you give the facts. You're a straight shooter. You're not going to lie to them. Some people might get hurt and be like, oh, man, the Passamenti said my house is only worth $550, but my friend said $800. Like, yeah, but they will learn quickly because if they do go with their friend and they list it and they go back and they find out, oh, I can only get $550, they're going to be like, wow, the Passamenti's were right this whole time.
There's a listing up right now that we didn't take because of exactly that. And they said that their house should be worth X because the prices in Florida were X. Oh. That doesn't make sense.
Yeah, that's the best is my neighbor sold their house at $600,000. Mine should be that.
Yeah.
Well, your neighbor
so
also
we literally said we're not the people that are just going to put your house up because you're not going to be happy. I don't want you calling me every day upset.
When the house doesn't sell, you're going to be upset because
you're not going to have anything good to say about us.
False promises.
False promises. There's no way, and there's no scenario on the planet where we don't want to sell someone's house for the most amount of money.
Of course.
Number one, we would be able to tell everybody, hey, we sold this house for the most amount of money.
Yeah.
Number two, we own several properties on Long Island. So if those properties are being sold for more, our properties are worth more. And then obviously the compensation is reflective of the price.
Yeah.
So there's no scenario where we
And
would
that's
want to
what
sell the house the most.
They don't switch that in there and
Right.
realize the truth of like,
Right.
hey, they gave me a lower price. Well, they're trying to get you the best price they can, you know, like they're not.
Right. We want to
Yeah.
not only get you the best price, we want it to get to the closing table.
Right, at the best
Right.
terms.
The
You
ones
know,
that
with the
hurt us,
best terms.
car salesmen hurt us, right?
Yes,
Because
yes.
they are absolutely the worst. Anybody that's listening out there, you're the worst. But they are the ones that do scam people, so they think we're that, but we're not. We're not. That's not how we work. The more money we get you, the more money we make. You know,
Right.
where the car is a little bit different, but
Yeah.
that's the perception that people have.
I think there's like we get a lot of objections from sellers. It's because of that. They're like, oh, my cousin's a realtor or whatever. And I feel like there's probably because it's a low barrier to entry, really. And I really
Yes.
think they should up the bar to be a realtor because it's
The
so
barrier is like zero.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
You take a
My
course.
dog,
which
our
the,
dogs could be realtors and
well,
probably
the
be
dog
better.
could pass
That's
the
what
test,
Mike.
and
So
then-
Mike told me, like when we
Yeah.
came home, I just haven't done it because I got a lot more stuff going on.
Yeah.
But Mike's like, hey, you should become a realtor. And I was like, I like the investor side anyway. He's like, dude. I was like, how hard's the test? He goes, everybody
Pass it.
are idiots out there if they can't pass it. Like it's the easiest thing out there. And I actually started taking the course. I was like, dude, I don't even have to take this course. Like this is unbelievable.
There's a lot of information that people don't realize. It's mostly common sense. A lot of it's common sense.
100%.
But there are some things you have to learn, obviously. You've been into real estate a little bit too, so you know stuff
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
you know, through osmosis of being around
Staying
the
in the
real
circle.
estate
Exactly, yeah.
and getting it. But listen, at the end of the day, you can take the test as many times as you want, then you pass it. It's a great career. It is definitely an in to familial and generational wealth
Yeah.
because you kind of are behind the
Right.
curtain and you're kind of able to see some of the things that go
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
But it is very difficult to be an agent and successful and have that as your only
You have to have a
career.
drive.
Yeah.
You
You
have to
have
drive.
to.
and
You have to have a drive. You have to
Right.
be smart. Like there's a lot of agents. I've seen a lot of agents. We've worked with a lot of agents, but like, you know, you could tell there's like probably less than 10% of the ones you come across on an everyday basis that are actually good. You know,
Yeah. Right.
obviously you two are in that category. You
Thank
know,
you.
that are good. But it's like it's tough. You know, a lot of them they're not doing business. A lot of people that we talk to in family circles, they go, "Oh, you got to reach out to so and so. They're really good." And then like you look up their transactions, they did like one deal in 3 years.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
how good are they? You
Yeah.
know, it's like it's tough.
Right.
It is a hard business. Though.
It's a hard business to make money in and to navigate through.
yeah.
But you have to have a process. It has to be your live,
Yeah.
eat, breathe job. You have
Yeah.
It
to,
is. Yeah.
you know,
it's got to be.
if
like a
we
full-time.
sat on the couch for half the day and watched TV and movies, we wouldn't be doing what we're doing now.
Yeah.
We have
Yeah.
to go out
Right.
there and, you know,
Right.
real estate.
How are you guys getting deals? Like, what's your number one? You guys cold calling? Is it referrals? Like, how is
Mostly
how's that working out?
referrals. And,
Okay.
you know, Kerri's secret power is social media. She does a lot with marketing. So there's a lot of stuff through there
Yeah.
Okay.
that we get.
Some prospecting.
Some
cold calling.
definitely
Yeah.
prospecting and,
Yeah.
and stuff like that, you know, Sphere and stuff like that. But there is definitely a lot of social media and referrals. We get
At the beginning, was it less referrals because you guys were like
Obviously,
just starting,
yeah.
right? But
Yeah.
now I mean,
Yeah.
you guys have built the name, so that's the thing. Like for a
Yeah.
lot of people that you know are looking to get into this, like
It takes time.
you're gonna have to do the cold calls. You're gonna have to hit the street and all that
Yes.
stuff.
Yeah.
But once you build a name like you guys have, they're gonna throw it your way. You know, you guys done so well for other people, they probably just like go with them.
We're finally seeing too. So this is our 4th year, going on 5th year next year. Repeat business, meaning like someone had to like someone has to. They had an issue, unfortunately, nothing with the place they bought with us, but things changed and they had to sell what they
Life
bought
changes.
with us,
Yeah.
right? So they sold that property. They called us. That was the first time, and we always make sure that our clients that bought with us didn't sell.
Yeah,
So it was actually really nice to have that because we've never had that in our stage of our business yet, where someone who bought with us called us back and said, "Hey, I have to sell. Something's going on."
Yeah.
So that's business we look forward to in the next 15, 20 years, getting that we
build the
can't have
pipeline
now,
up. It's gonna take
right? Or as
years.
much,
Exactly.
yeah.
You're gonna burn bridges.
Right.
Right.
We don't burn bridges generally anyway. But there's also deals that we're working on
Right.
loosely, literally for 3 years.
We just closed one in Nob Hill that we met with 3 years ago, and things happen, just following up and having a relationship, being a genuine person. So when she was ready, she's like, "I'm ready."
Yeah, and it takes a long time, like building, because we're learning a lot about like pipelines and marketing and stuff, and like every different thing you do has a different like our cold calling. Some leads are not ready. They're not ready.
No.
You know, sometimes you get that hot one is ready to go,
Right.
but they usually take a long time to build that up. That pipeline, referrals, another slow one, but then I do like direct mail, right? For example,
We do too.
terrible response rates, but those people who call are like ready to go.
Yeah.
So one thing about direct mail, the conversion rate on direct mail
very low.
isn't great.
Yeah.
But what it does do is get your name out there.
Right.
It's
And we've been recognized, and it sounds so silly, but we've been recognized at a restaurant, at a Walgreens, at a CVS.
nice.
Hey, real estate couple. I know you guys. Oh, I got the card. I'm on the Facebook.
Yeah.
It's very, very good feeling for us to see that.
Yeah,
But
nice.
definitely following up 100% is a good way to keep that client, number one, feeling like you care, because you do care.
Yeah.
So then follow up. And then those deals that we're working on, there's several, not only the condo she's talking about, there's 3 or 4 that
There's a lot.
listings this year that we're working on for 3 years.
Well, if you think about
Wow.
it too, unless someone Googled you and was actively looking to sell their house, it would be kind of weird if you cold called someone or whatever, and they're like, "Yeah, come over today. I'm going to sell my house." Like, I would
100%.
actually question their sanity a little bit.
Right,
Like,
yeah,
what are the
right.
chances that I got this? Like,
At that time,
exactly.
worked out exactly.
Right, like you said, it
it's very
happens every
low-
once in a
Go
while.
play the Mega Million that day. 'cause
Right,
it's-
literally. So it's also like when you think about it, you have to think about what you're doing, what's the purpose of it. And it's exactly that, building the pipeline for when they're ready, because it's always just going to be, I'm looking to do it, and then you
the
harvest
time
it
is
from
right.
there.
And then if you were building that lead for years, then
Right.
when the time is right, well, they're going to probably go with you because you've been talking to them for
Right.
2 years, and like they kind of know who you are at that point. Maybe you even met them. But
Right.
if you're just calling them out of the blue, like who are they going to go with? You, who's been following up 3 years,
Right.
or like me, or whoever, an agent who calls and says, "Listen, I can get you 800 for your house. I just met you." Like they're going to be like, I don't know
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah.
Like,
That kind of brings back to like the doomsday prepper lady, like building the rapport, right? So you make the relationship, and also, like you said, when you get into business, you have to hustle. There's more than just, calling and trying to make deals. Like you have to build relationships, and things will take a couple years. Like I have at least 5 right now that I have been working with them. One lady, I got to go over her house and go through her father's World War II pictures. Like having him talk really business with her. I know she wants to one day, but I know, and I told him, I was like, this is going to be a while, but and it stinks. Do I really on my Friday night want to go over and sit in there and go through these old boxes? No, but A, it's helping someone.
Yes.
And B, it's building rapport. And like, I'm not just looking for her money. She is.
Right.
That's kind of the difference. Like me and Mike, and I know you guys too, I do care about the people, Like I
Absolutely.
do want to make a difference. You were a cop, so you get it, Like I'm in the military, you do the selfless service. It makes me feel good at the end of the day. And then it's also, I know that I will most likely, when they do make the decision, get that business
Right.
back. And that's kind of,
Well,
you have to set yourself apart from the
You
other
can't
guys.
fake genuine.
yeah.
You can't fake being genuine. You just
Exactly.
And that's actually why, and we said it too when we started, before even we went live with this, that's why we liked both of you, because we deal with a lot of different investors. The last year or so, we have fallen into a lot of deals where we've needed an investor, and dealing with some of these investors is rough. They're sharks.
Yeah,
So
it's
nice
of-
to deal with people who are humans, that we can call you and actually have a conversation, and it's not just like
Yeah,
money.
having
yeah.
a connection with the investors a much better way than.
We're scared to sometimes even, sorry to cut you off.
That's all right.
I know, it's what I do.
Should I wait in the car?
Yeah.
Should I wait in the car? What am I doing over here?
That's a great question. Sometimes when we have a property that's off market, I don't even, or I know you feel the same way, you don't even want to give the address because
Yeah.
you're like nervous they're
You
going to
don't
go to
even
the
trust them.
house,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
and sometimes, listen, it's a situation where the neighbors are like a little crazy, or maybe
Yeah.
they're like watching the house, and there's been situations there. So like, you don't, as agents, we don't want to be helping the seller, or maybe whomever's involved in that transaction now be getting called. Why is someone going in the house?
Yeah.
Why are they on the property?
peeking and-
Like,
yeah, why are they on the property?
yeah,
Exactly.
and it's because that's certainly not what we want. We don't want that.
Yeah.
So to deal with people like you who are cordial and professional, it's a lot better than having that like worry, like, oh, who's going to show up? Who's going to do what they're not supposed to do? Who's going to talk to the tenant?
Yeah.
Things that we don't want done.
And like a lot of investors, and maybe it's just like part of the business because you're trying to buy houses cheap and fix them up
Right.
and sell and make the most profit. But like a lot of them are very, very cheap, and they'll like,
Yeah.
oh, your attorney's, $1,500. Like I can get mine for 13. It's like, dude, it's $200. You're making
Right.
how many thousands on
Right.
flip? Like,
Right.
what do you
Right.
care? Everyone's got to eat. Everyone's got to
Yes.
make their money.
Yes.
And you kind of get what you pay for too, right?
Yeah.
If you always look for the deal or trying to save money, I'm not saying don't save money. Save
Yeah.
money.
Right.
But if you're always looking to get over, is really what I
That's
should
bad,
say.
yeah.
That
And you don't make relationships.
you're
with
not.
people.
You don't
Yeah.
make relationships.
People are gonna hate you.
You're not gonna.
Right.
You're not gonna make a lot of money. You're not gonna be successful. You're gonna struggle. So being a genuine person, again, doing the things that help people, that will help every one of us in our
Yeah.
careers.
Yeah, like you'll get over on them for that deal, but guess
Right.
what? You're not getting the next deal.
Right.
And, like, do you
100%.
really, like, what is your
100%.
thought process? Like,
Yeah.
it's very short-minded, and you see a lot of it. It's very common. In the
We
investor
had someone who did that to us. That was actually our first investment deal ever, and they contract vended the property. And it's in the contract they're not supposed to do that. Quite honestly, I don't really care. But what I cared about more is that they went well about, like, past the on or about date. And this woman who owned the house had a
had to
tenant that
sell.
wasn't paying for years. So, like, she's hemorrhaging. Like, she needs to
Yeah.
get rid of this
She's paying
property.
$3,000 a month.
Exactly. Like, the house is in total default, and it's like that extra money for that extra 3 weeks would have served
Yeah.
her much better than us waiting for someone who did something that they shouldn't have done.
And
So
it looks bad on
Yeah.
that. First off, that investor looks bad. 'Cause
Yeah,
you're
and it
like,
looks bad on
"Hey,
us."
I can close in your timeline, and I can
Right.
give you the money, and we can close tomorrow, right? But
Right.
it's not even your money. You're bringing
Right.
someone else to the table
Right.
and saying that it's their money, and then
Yeah.
what if you don't even know who that person
No.
is? That person can jerk you around because again, it's all
Yeah.
about the contract. I've had people, I did a contract vendee once, and they kind of like took advantage of what was in the contract, and I
100%.
promised something to the guy, and I was literally going to come out of my own pocket and give the guy like 20,000 because I was like, listen, they're holding up the money,
Yeah.
and like I'll go after and get the money back, but like I'll give you the money now
Right,
because he
'cause you
needed
just want it to
it.
be
He
done.
needed the money,
Yeah.
Right.
and I was literally going
Right.
to go out of pocket. Luckily, I fixed the situation, and
Right.
it all got resolved the next week. But it was like I was in a bad position. I'm like, and they're doing this again.
No.
Because they don't care. The end buyer doesn't care about your situation
Nope.
and the seller situation. They just want the deal, and they're going to abide by the contract. So, and these people did, and I kind of was screwed a little bit. But luckily, I'm a good guy. I would have literally came out of my
Yes.
own pocket and like gave the money to the seller. But it all worked out. But I realized like I'm never doing this again. I'm not contract vending anything.
There's a lot of good agents, good investors, good attorneys, good everybody in this business.
Yeah.
And most of us do know each other, and most of us get along well with each other, and most of us do deals with each other.
Right.
Yeah.
But the section of the job that isn't putting that effort in and isn't being genuine and isn't caring about their client and how it affects them, that's what hurts our industry a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. All right. So, any like books? What got you into like the real estate? I know you kind of talked about it in the beginning, but was there like a book you read? Because I know you were a cop. Did you always know like I'm going into real estate once this is over? Once I retire.
So, 235 years ago, when I was a young man, I wanted to be a realtor, and I decided to do the police department.
Okay.
When that job came up, I did
How
it
long you were a cop for?
about 22 years.
God bless you.
Nice.
Thank
In the
you.
city?
In the city.
Right? Yeah, that's right.
Right.
Where was your area?
So the last place I worked, I was a lieutenant in the detective squad in Manhattan.
Okay.
So different commands
Nice,
in
that's
Manhattan. Yeah, it was great. But as I became a police officer, I concentrated on that. And then I wanted to get my real estate license, and I took the sergeant's exam, and I became a sergeant. And then through different years of being a sergeant, I said, I should go get my license. And then I went into the detective bureau as a sergeant, and there's not a lot of time for
extra
studying
stuff.
and stuff like that. Then I became a lieutenant in the detective bureau, and I really didn't think there was going to be time to do that. So when I retired, I said, this is what I'm going to do. And being that Kerri already had her license, it was an easy,
Kind of
No-brainer.
push your dream a little bit, a little further.
right.
Nice.
It does say a lot about your character, though, that just in the police force that you were able to go up to LT.
Thank you.
So it says like, all right, if he was able to do that with a cop, he can keep climbing in real estate.
Thank
so
you.
that's a
He
big
also
thing.
doesn't talk about in between being retired and doing real estate that he worked for a place in Suffolk County where they worked not with sex offenders, but they made sure the sex offenders were registered, things like that. So he spent some time and he rose up that way. But I think, and I don't want to take your like thunder away, but you said like at the end of the day when you left the police department that either you were going to do that or you weren't. So now you can help
It was a
people in
similar
different
police
capacity.
job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that I loved police work because it was a long time, and I did love helping people. I did love it when a case was solved. I did love dealing with the guys and girls in the police department. And then when I retired, I wanted to find something that was also rewarding.
Yeah.
And I never thought in a million years it would be real estate, but it turns out it is.
Oh, wow.
It's tough to lose that, like, the brotherhood of
Sure.
being a cop and all that stuff. And I think the most addicting thing is knowing that you're helping people. So
Absolutely.
like, I can see where when you went from being a cop even to the sex offender thing and now the real estate, like, either way you're helping people, and the gratitude that fills yourself. Like, I live off that's my drug, you know.
Yeah.
Getting those things is great. And especially, like I said, we're not just selling real estate. I'm also selling me and Mike, and we'll help people and do that stuff. It's rewarding. It's definitely rewarding.
Well, it's got to be fulfilling, the industry, or just your career. Like, it's got to be fulfilling. Otherwise, what are we doing it for? You know,
Literally.
Right.
And
Right.
So, anything as far as, like, before we wrap up, any new agents out there? Like, you guys are at a really good level, like a high level. Is there anything like a new agent, like, you can give any kind of advice to them? Like, how do they?
Yeah,
Can
give
I
me a
team
call
up?
because we want to expand the team.
Yes.
That's the first
There you go.
advice I give for you.
Honestly, if you're looking to learn real estate and you're new, you really should link up with you guys and just learn from you guys. The
Yeah,
best.
we are looking to put another 1 or 2 people on the team. I'm interviewing, so if people are interested, definitely reach out to us and give us a call.
Okay. Awesome. How can they reach you? This way they can connect with you guys, social media, phone number, anything you want to get.
I mean, you're going to have to tell them about the Instagram and all of that. I don't know.
This will probably be.
Which, by the way, the content is great.
Thank you.
Especially the
Yeah.
coffee one the other day.
Yeah.
Loved it.
Social media, they'll see this on our social media, so that you could send us a DM. Or if you
Don't
want.
you have to say?
No, I said what I had to say, but thank you.
If you put us in the Google too,
Yeah.
we'll be there.
Yeah, we'll drop the.
Or you could call us 631-335-7019. That's my cell phone. I actually, wait, I have one question for
Yeah.
you guys. What's your craziest story going to a house? Because you're dealing with that capacity
well,
all the time.
Part of it is, I think, right? It's kind of documented.
Yeah.
We just put it out. Levy edited it. You want to tell that story with the whole?
Yeah, that one was bad. That's went out east. I won't mention town again too. But we went in. Mike got this house. We're going into the house. It's the first time I've seen it from the outside. First time going in, and of course, the first time going in is the time that Levy's with us filming. So we didn't know what we were going into. We go in. It was your typical gross. You know, like there was mold all over the stove, mold all over the fridge. Just like smelled not great in there. The guy's bed was on the floor, and there was holes in the bed from rats chewing in there. So it was obviously rats living in the mattress. There was no frame or anything. So, you know, just disgusted. You know, their toilets were like clogged and obviously never used. We go upstairs, and as we're climbing the stairs, I'm like, that's not a good smell. Like, like that's not normal smell.
No.
I at first thought, you know, like dead body
Yeah.
smell. Like I thought, I was
Yeah.
like, oh man, did this guy leave a relative in here?
Yeah. It's totally
We go up.
possible.
There's buckets in the middle of the floor. They were going in the bathroom. Their plumbing was working, which doesn't make sense to me. They clogged it. I guess they couldn't afford a plunger, but they were going in the bathroom in the buckets. And there was like, what would you say, like 5 buckets filled upstairs, and they just left
big
it.
Tubs.
God.
Yeah, big tubs.
These guys, this was interesting. It was an old man and his son. And I remember the day of the closing, they pulled up in like a RAV4, but it looked like the Clampets. You had the RAV4, everything packed out, ladder sticking out both sides of the back window.
Packed up
but
and
then
high.
up top, all the way high, all you needed was the grandma on the rocking chair, and there was the Clampets. And they were heading down to Florida. I was like, Mike, they can't even make it under the trestles on the LIE.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was
The
probably
suspension was like pushed out. There's so much crap in there.
between that and then also there's some deals that we have, and again, we build relationships with these people where now we're their best friend, which is sad. I get it a lot. And there's one guy who calls me at least, and he calls me like 10 times a day to the point where I was like, hey man, I'm unavailable tonight, but call Mike. If he doesn't answer, call him 5 times in a row. Yeah, so I mean, that's kind of, I'm sure you guys experience too. Some
Yeah.
people.
I will say one of the things that we love about real estate is that people start as clients and become friends.
Yes.
Friends
Yeah.
forever. Yeah.
We've gone to family barbecues and birthday parties, and you know, it's really a nice thing that you end up making a connection because you bought them a house with them, or you sold a house with them, and then all of a sudden they're part of your extended family.
Yeah.
There's people you meet that like you find out their history. It's like, oh my God, like your dad invented this thing.
Right.
Like that's crazy.
Right.
And
Yes.
yeah, it's it's definitely an interesting business. You know,
Yes.
you really meet people. You kind of get close and personal because you see the way they live.
You see them at the
You
most
know.
vulnerable moments.
Exactly. You see somebody on the street, they're
Yeah.
dressed in their regular clothes. All right.
Yeah.
Now I just went into your bedroom in your
Yeah.
house and I see
Yeah.
the way you live.
Yeah.
Right.
Totally
Yeah.
different story. But yeah,
Yeah.
you get pretty close.
All right, it's pretty crazy. Guys, if you want to sell, buy real estate, reach out to Passamentis. We'll drop their social media somewhere. I'm sure Levy will connect it. And other than that, that's a wrap.